letting you in. Take a look at you and start to lose my balance. What am I falling into? This feels like something new. I've seen a lot of views, but they were nothing like this. The way you do what you do, I think you're something brand new.
Welcome everyone to this energy shot on how tech can drive the energy transition. I'm Kara Kilman. I'll be moderating the session today. I'm a reporter with Clean Energy Wire, and I am joined by Victoria Ossadnik. She is the COO and member of the board at E.ON, and by Christoph Berlin. He's the general manager at Microsoft. Victoria, she is responsible for the areas of digital technology, cybersecurity, and innovation at E.ON. And Christoph, he leads the engineering services for industry consumers. So what we're trying to answer today is how can digital technologies help us drive the shift towards renewable energy? What are these tools, and what opportunities and what challenges do they come with? So Victoria, help us set the stage. What are these challenges and how is E.ON navigating them? And obviously the opportunities as well of the energy transition.
Yeah, we saw the stage this morning, I think. A lot of the interesting things in the energy transition are resources, investment, implementation. How do we get this done? And a major part of this, obviously, is technology and is digitalization, standardization of the things we do. So actually a lot of things to do, and we are lucky in a way that at the time where our energy systems need this most, we actually have good technology at hand. There has been a lot of innovation in the IT area and the technology area which we can use if we understand how to use it best. And I think this is something all of us need to go step by step, and we need to do it with good partners. So for E.ON, understanding how big the challenge and the opportunity is with the energy transition. Borders was saying digitalization is a big part of what we do, because without digitalization, we won't be able to master the energy transition and take this big chance, which this actually gives us as a company and gives all of us as energy companies. And to do this, we decided actually we need to own the technology we have. We need to deeply understand what we're doing there. As much as we understand how we build grids, how we interact with customers, we need to understand IT and digital, which we invested something into, where we now have a good team, and we also learned we need to have, like, even if we own the technology, we need to have good partners. So we invested also a lot into building the right partnerships with diverse companies from around the world, from India to Vietnam to the US to UK, and obviously wherever possible in Europe. And this together builds the foundation to get the energy transition done with the help of digitalization.
All right, and how about Microsoft? Like, how is Microsoft adapting its business models to align with the green and digital transitions?
How is Microsoft adopting, and how is Microsoft pivoting in these spaces? It's a really good question, and the short answer is we are constantly adopting and pivoting, but what it really comes down to is, like, the energy, let's call it the energy transition, requires a very different approach to the overall technology investments of what we have seen earlier. IT has been done for quite some time. We have learned a lot from IT. As you actually go into smart grids, as you go into the overall, where do I need energy most, where having the ability to really change pretty much capacity on a dime, we decided that we have to also invest locally, because it is not always about the aspect of just having a data center there. You also have to have a data center or data center regions in pretty much in environments where you pretty much have local regulations. For example, the EU Privacy Act is something that is fundamentally important. Therefore, you actually have to have the capacity for your workloads, capacity for the applications. You have to have them in Europe. We are doing a lot of investments in Germany, in Spain, in Benelux, in the Scandinavian countries, in order to pretty much support this overall drive for innovation. So Victoria earlier on mentioned pretty much that it is not a single thing. it is not a single thing that you can invest. It's not a single product that has to be somewhere, but it is all about how do I actually think about the entire chain and the availability of these products, but at the same time, how do I actually think about the availability throughout where do I need these services? And so what it really is, what is important for us is like local availability, local adherence to regulation standards, local cybersecurity adherence, and ultimately pretty much local latency. And so if you put these things together, and with the investments that you guys are driving, with the capacity of planet scale hyperscalers for us, it is fundamentally key to all these things. There's a second aspect to it, and the second aspect really comes in to say, it is like, we need hyperscalers, and I'm not making this only about Microsoft to be very transparent, but we need hyperscalers to help with the planet scale sizing of these opportunities. So it is not only about having a data center region, it is all about how to actually transition, let's say, the entire value chain effectively throughout Europe, through the world, and only hyperscalers can help with that. Can they do it themselves? Absolutely not, because you own the differentiating technology, you own the IP and also the expertise. We help to pretty much support it with the overall foundation underneath to pretty much move at this planet scale speed.
All right, but let's go back a tiny little step. We heard this morning that without digitalization, there's not going to be an energy transition. So Microsoft has a really strong focus on digitalization, and there has been a lot of advances in AI, in IoT, in cloud computing services. So how can these technologies and these advances facilitate the energy transition?
Yes, so how do these services really help with these things? If you really break it down into a very common, smallest, or let's call it largest common denominator, you need, or you want to leverage technology in order to increase productivity. So, for example, in the past you had grid stations, you had power plants, you had all of these things, and there was a lot of manual labor involved. There was a change management required, change tracking of humans. When you wanted to change your overall capacity management, you had to pretty much get humans motivated in order to do the change, then you had to track the change and all of these things throughout. What services such as IoT, edge computing, AI, and now even further generative AI does, it helps with increasing productivity. What it really does, when we can spend a lot of time talking about generative AI, happy to do that as well. But if you really break it down into something very, very tangible, it makes the 80% of repetitive work that everyone within a certain environment has to do, it makes those 80% go away. You still need humans. As a matter of fact, it doesn't function without humans. But what these technologies like IoT and all the other things really do is they help with making the repetitive tasks, the things that do not differentiate the work, the things that actually slows it down, paper trail, tracing, regulatory approval and all these things. It helps make those be reduced significantly in order for a company and the workforce to focus on the things that actually drive value. There's no value in just people running around with paper sheets. I may be controversial in a statement, but at the end of the day, if people continue to run around pretty much with tracing and paper sheets and work orders and all these things, it is something that is a lot of money down the drain. So you use those technologies, and that's why we're investing those technologies in order to make the 20% really reduce or hopefully make it go away in order to focus on, or in order for companies to focus on the 20% of differentiating value to improve productivity, capacity management. All these aspects to actually say what drives my business further, and also the energy transition all up.
All right, well, what are your thoughts there? I mean, this is a very, very rapidly changing environment as well. How is E.ON dealing with that? How is E.ON driving innovation as well?
Yeah, I think first, you mentioned productivity. I think there are two things. One is productivity, and actually this is the open thing. But on the other side, in our energy world, so much is changing that we have the chance to reinvent how we do things. Mm-hmm. And this is apart from productivity, because it's defining new business sectors, it's giving hopefully more freedom to end customers. If we use digitalization right, a customer has more freedom how to contribute to an energy system. It's opening up, for example, our markets for flexibility, because we will only be able to profit or to manage flexibility if we do the right digitalization. So this is where we really need technology. And I think this is in addition to, so probably like my dream is we save enough money, so Leo, please don't listen. We save enough money on productivity, and we spend this for really going into these new parts of our markets on flexibility, on being closer to our end customers. And this is the balance where technology really can help.
All right, but we...
Leo?
Yeah, okay.
I can repeat it and then everybody can hear it. Probably.
Yeah.
Microsoft just made the pitch how they're going to help us. But I think we all want to know also what they want from us in terms of new connections for AI. So what is it that we need to prepare for?
So for others that haven't heard the question, as there was pretty much a pitch towards what Microsoft can help you with, but there was a counter question, and it's like, what do we want instead? And let me actually take this question in a rather direct way. And it's like, our business model is to run your workloads. Workloads are applications, data, all of these things combined. So as you are successful within your business, we are successful within our business, because what we do at the very end is we are the planet's largest computer, look at it this way, and we pretty much just say the more workloads you have pretty much running with partners or with the hyperscalers, the better. There's now a very fundamental question that actually what you're poking at a little bit further, and it's like it goes into IP rights, it goes into what do you need from us in order to improve and all these things. And Microsoft, for example, has a very clear stand with regards to, do we leverage data from customers in order to offer services that pretty much improve X, Y, Z? And the answer is no. We are not commercializing, let's say, the generative workloads other than Office Copilot and all the other things. So it is really about...
Don't you want power from us?
No.
All of us? I mean, just if you look
I
around,
will-
there
I
are
will get there in a
undersized
second.
people
I will
who
get
might
there in a
want
second.
to earn money from you.
So I will get there in a second. So first the question was, what do we need? And I answer it by what do we do not need, because we just want to run your workloads. To your point, and that's like, all of this planet scale computer sizing requires a little bit of energy. And when I say a little bit, it is actually quite a bit. So we are absolutely aware that we are currently building data center or regions. We do not call them data centers, by the way. We actually call them entire regions, because there's never ever a single data center. At the very minimum, you have 3 of those that are put together into regions. Then usually you have 3 regions next to each other. Reason why I'm going into this detail is there is a lot of energy demand for those things. We today do not, or we know for a fact that we are planning our capacity knowing that the energy is not yet available. And so what we need also from the energy companies, as well as from the entire ecosystem, it is like, how do we make it work? How do we actually go into the space to say, let's like, we pretty much need the grid capacity in order to scale all these things. What we can offer is to help it run more efficient with regards to the planet-sized computer. What we need is an ecosystem, and not just a single provider, an ecosystem that actually says, how do we actually do this together? Because it is for the benefit for all productivity from all companies.
One little aspect that you didn't mention that I would love to bring up, and it's the fact that we were hearing before with digitalization, you also see increased risk. Mm-hmm. What's your strategic approach, both for E.ON and for Microsoft?
Yeah, why don't you start?
I think first, I mean, we operate critical infrastructure, so absolutely security is our #1 concern. And given the geopolitical situation, this concern gets bigger and bigger, not just for cyber, but basically also physical security. So if you look into cyber, we need the best partners from a friendly world to help us to stay safe. And we do a lot of the basic stuff, like really like cleaning up your estate in terms of like no-out applications, multi-factor authentication, all the stuff you read in the books. And if you do everything which is in the book, this just saves you probably from some middle intelligence students, because the rest, like if you really have a state actor behind this who's putting a couple of thousand of the best, highest intelligent, best educated people in their country behind it, it's going to be interesting. So that's why we try to work with a lot of different partners, try to take their input, and try to be in the middle of the pack, because you can never, like if you look at the list who has been compromised, you need to take this very seriously. And for me, I think the most important thing is also not just to protect us, but to think and to train and to accept that if you're breached, how do you behave and maintain the service for the customers. Because this is not the end of the world, but it's our role to make sure it's not the end of the world. We need to make sure we are still safe, even if there might be something which is attacking us.
Yeah. So first of all, fully agree, and I would even take it one step further. Cybersecurity has been a topic and has been a threat for quite some time, and we are nowhere near that this is getting any easier. As a matter of fact, through the aspects of generative AI, we are in front of a wave that we have never seen the sophistication. So the point, however, and especially to your point, it is like there is not as disconnecting systems or leaving them pretty much running as is from the 30-year-old PLCs and all these things is not the answer. It's like pretty much the threat is pretty much already out there. How we are approaching this, as in Microsoft, and by the way, this is how all hyperscalers are approaching it, is like you start with providing visibility. It's like you cannot prevent that there is an attack, but you can actually extremely shorten the amount of time to actually start to realize and take mitigation steps. So for example, without going into too much nerdy land on technology, and it's like if you, let's say, have a substation somewhere, and you believe just because there is no internet connectivity to this particular thing, that it is safe, I have to tell you, it is not. There is a service port, there's a USB port on all of those systems, and this is exactly how you actually get infiltrated with these things. Network is not the culprit in all of this. How you want to turn this into is that you actually leverage the network in order to gain visibility that something is attempting to do something, and you pretty much take mitigation steps. And so it will always be a cat and mouse game, and it will get worse. I will be very, very honest with you, but you want to stay ahead of it so that you actually know what it is. And so what we are investing in is pretty much this angle of saying, like, how can we help with visibility? How can we help with mitigation technologies? How do we actually help securing it enough so that you really have this angle of, I'm always ahead of the wave, instead of being pretty much washed over by it. Yeah. And this is also how we are looking at the investments in the space.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really, really interesting topic, and one that I would love to delve more into, but we are about to get started again. We would love to continue the conversation off the stage. I mean, we're all going to be around, so please do reach out, and I'm really looking forward to learning how we can reinvent how we do things with digital technologies. So thank you very much to everyone for listening.
Thank you.
No, thanks for having us.